Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the OWLS Racing League here for Season 7. And tonight, we have our first sprint race of the season. That's right, the first of the two sprints. We're here at round 5 at the Hungaroring, and it is going to be the host of a 12-lap sprint, followed by a 35-lap feature race. Be in for a rather eventful evening, just like we saw last time out, with some big swings in the championship picture. But of course, talking about those big swings, let's have a look at the championship as it currently stands. And it is Cook who's got a healthy 28-point lead over Puzan after his retirement last time out in, of course, Saudi Arabia. Then, closely following Puzan is teammate Joker, who's on 10 points. He finished second place last time out. And it's Snoop Panda, who only picked up the 2 points. Who only picked up a few points, but is still in 4th. 2 points off the top 3. Then it's Ben, Liam, who also retired from that race. He is 1 point shy of the Williams driver in 6th. By Ericsson, Alvar, who picks up the 3rd place and a very good drive on debut this season. Then it's Swaggy, Andy, Liam Beard at Shefton, Away Pack, Harvey, Massive, and Sprint, rounding out the top 16 in the standings. So, of course, it's your usual sprint format like we saw last season, where it was a short qualifying session for the sprint, followed by the sprint race, and a qualifying session for the main race, followed by the feature. And we'll be in for a rather nice evening of action, of course, for Cook. There is an opportunity for Puzan to take the championship lead here this evening if Cook DNFs from both races. But for the Aston Martin driver, who's been on formidable form all season long, picked up our first driver to be the first driver to pick up 2 wins this season. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on here tonight. But you may hear in the background as we head trackside as well. Now, we are into sprint qualifying. See how the drivers handle this one. Only 11 minutes in this session. So it's going to be a quick shootout for pole when it comes to this sprint format, of course. Cook, Liam, Puzan, Joker, they're all here this evening. That'll be interesting to see how Puzan and Liam bounce back from last week, and how well they then transfer that potential, maybe not anger as such, but that misfortune, that disappointment, and re-energize it, transform that energy into potential glory here this evening. I'm going to bring the tyres up actually for this one, because we have a few drivers going out on the softs and the rest on the medium compound of tyre. It's going to be Yari who will start us off. I think a new driver making their debut here this evening in the Mercedes. So let's see how Yari gets on with DRS open down that main straight. Kicks out, it gets out of the way quite nicely. I think that is going to be a Joker. Now hit the brakes into down 1, down the 3rd gear. Slowly bring the car back up to that left-hand side as you open up the DRS. Tricky traction point, that first corner. Then it's late on the brakes once more. Down into, of course, turns 3 And now we're going to head up into turn 4. Once again, we'll be late to the brakes, down to 6th gear, and then try to brake as late as you dare into 5. We're still hitting that apex, maybe a little bit too much curb there, sitting the car a little bit wider than what he would have wanted on the exit of the corner. Now the Mercedes driver, they make their way through the 6 and 7 chicane, 4 into 8, 9, and then which closely followed by this flat-out left-hander of turn 10. Very tricky to get right. It's turn 11. They have done it very nicely. Now into 12, braking as the curve starts on the left-hand side. Down to 3rd gear, bring the car to the left before instantly swinging it over back to the right. And onto the brakes once more. As you then get on the power. Oh, a big slide there for Yari as we go through the final corner. Now, what's it going to be for the Mercedes? What is the benchmark for the session across the line? So 1 minute 16.4. That's what everyone's got to aim to at this stage of the session. Agent goes into second fastest on an 18.8. Of course, some of these drivers are on the mediums. Joker on a 16.5. So it seems to be a very good lap time actually so far from Yari. Now on board with Jamers as he makes his way through the final couple of corners in that Williams car. Of course, also on the mediums, the only 2 drivers on the softs are Must and Rory. And we've got George on the inters. I think he's also making his debut here this evening. We've got Jamers, and then it's Dare instantly moving over to 4th. Ben into 3rd. He's only a few tenths off Yari, about half a second behind. Interesting to see what Raw does as he comes to line. It's 17.9, a second off of Ben. What about Must? Does he make his way to the line? Actually, Puzant's made a mistake. He's gone off at turn 5. So not good. Not a great way to bounce back so far for the man second in the standings. As that was sprint heading up into 4th. For Must through the first sector. Not seeming to be too strong at this stage. A wide line through turn 5. Into the next chicane. Not carrying too much speed through there. Liam Bearder is further back. BJ Riley's finished the lap, but it was invalid. Cook is pushing on, of course, championship leader. Can he now beat Yari to go to the top of the sprint qualifying times? Of course, already nearly 6.5 minutes left in this session. DRS open for Cook. Is it going to be enough? Oh, you sure is going to be enough. Cook goes to the very top. A 15.7. He goes 7 tenths clear of the Mercedes driver. And a 15.7 is a very strong benchmark indeed. Still got Bearder to come to the line alongside the likes of Liam, Newt Panda and Ericsson. We'll go back over to Liam Bearder. He now makes his way through the final corner and up to the line for the Red Bull. Where does this place him? Across the line, 9th fastest for Liam, an 18.0. Next will be, I think, Newt Panda as he makes his way to the line. Yes, it will. DRS open. What's it going to be? 4th fastest for him. He'll be instantly followed to the line by Liam. Is it enough to displace Cook across the line? No. 16.8 slots in between teammate BJ Riley and Ben. A very good lap time there from Riley. Gone into that 5th fastest on a 16.8. 2 tenths shy. Excuse me, of Newt Panda. Oh, and that's a spin. That's a spin for Ericsson, who's gone round on the exit of turn 1 and into the wall. And that could be session over because he still has to get back to pit lane with that front wing damage. And then get the car turned around and go back out again. Of course, crucially here as well for Cook, having such a healthy advantage. I say that, Puzant has been able to make his way up into 2nd place, 15.9. Just under 2 tenths shy of provisional pole sitter for the sprint here of Cook. I was going to say, with such a comfortable advantage, could certainly see himself on that switch to softs, just absolutely decimate the field and just destroy the competition. But Puzant has certainly bounced back quite nicely as he's up into that 2nd place. And he may now have a say in this battle for pole as the 18 makes his way through the middle sector, about a second off what we saw from Liam. So looking around about that 17.8 mark So, going to be on the lower end of the top 10 at the moment. Going to make his way through the final corner now. What's it going to be for the A team? Of course, Cook's teammate in the Aston Martin. Across the line will go. Is it going to be a 17.8? It's a 17.5 from the A team. Puts him into that top 10. And he's 2 tenths shy of Swaggy. And crucially here for Puzan. Will he get round in time? Come back into pit lane and put on a set of the soft compounder tyres. His teammate Joker is already out on the circuit on the softs. So we'll have to see what this could potentially deliver. For Joker, of course. How much of an improvement can you find on the soft compounder tyres as well? That is going to be a big factor in this one, because of course Cook's got an 8/10 advantage over Joker. And DRS will now be open as we now make our way down that main straight. He'll be braking just as the curve starts on the left-hand side. Down to third gear, brings the car in nicely, gets on the power nice as well. A brilliant drive out of the corner as we now make our way into turn 2. Down to third gear, rotate the car through. You can see using all the track on the exit as well before making his way through 3 and up into turn 4. Through the left-hander we go, down to 6th gear. Then straight back onto the throttle, but does have a little bit of traffic just in front of him. That's an Alpine potentially there. It's going to be of BJ Riley, who's going to block him into the chicane as well. The Alpine's not doing Joker any favours at this stage, and Joker will want to get him gone immediately, but BJ Riley's still not moving off that racing line, and is really going to cost the Kick Sauber here, completely blocking him through turn 11. I don't think BJ Riley's aware that he's on a qualifying lap. He's 4 tenths to the good as Joker, and BJ Riley has completely ruined that attempt. So for Joker, he is going to be furious inside that Kick Sauber cockpit. Is it going to be enough for a front row start as it currently stands? Or are we just going to see Joker fall short after having to make that overtake across the line? He does fall short. Certainly would have had more time in the lap, but got blocked by BJ Riley. And I think there'll be a very, very big discussion on that one as Riley starts sees that. Will Joker return the favour and potentially disrupt the Alpines? That will go on board now with Riley as he starts his next attempt. Riley would argue that there was no sufficient place to let him through until down into turn 12, but even then, didn't really produce much, and he's up by 3 tenths. He didn't really allow Joker to go through, so I think he was just blissfully unaware of what was going on. And for Riley, as he now makes his way through the middle part of the lap. Of course, Liam, it says he's already got 1 lap on those softs. He did an out lap. He did a scrub lap. Get some temperature into that tyres already, maybe, as we now make our way through the middle sector. But here with Riley, he's up by 5 tenths of a second. This, at the moment, would place him onto that second row in front of Yari. Can he find any more time in the final sector? Nuke Panda has retired. He's retired on the circuit down at turn 6 and 7. And now for BJ Riley to the line. Where is this lap time going to put the Alpine? Runs wide on exit. Lucky to not invalidate it. His 4th fastest. Would have lost time there in the final sector. Puzan versus Cook is now the next battle really brewing onto the circuit. Yari's down somehow in the first sector. Potentially making a mistake in the first part of the lap, but has brought it back in the middle part of this one. Puzan up by 1.5 tenths. Can't see how much Cook is up by, but this is the real big battle for pole. What about Liam as well? Of course, another contender for the championship title. He's only up by 2 tenths in that middle part of the lap. Back to Puzan now as he makes his way through turn 11 and spins. Has a half slide, and that will surely cement sprint pole position to HBCooke. Your championship leader will once again pick up another session at the very top, and he's 2 tenths to the good. This is going to be a lap just to flex his muscles by. How much can Cook jump Pizan could have potentially snatched provisional pole away, but Cook is going to show by how much he could have snatched it back from. Across the line we go. A 15.4 is the provisional pole time, and unless Sprint can do anything about it, which he won't, and I don't think either Thames or Agent is going to do anything about it too, it's going to be the championship leader on pole from championship rival of Pizan, then Joker, the top three in the championship, in the same order they line up on the grids. And for the A team, he comes across the line to finish off the session. Goes up to, I think that was a P9 for the Aston Martin. But for Pizan, on what could have been a brilliant way to bounce back, with, of course, a second place in sprint qualifying. Sorry, what could have been a pole position in sprint qualifying, unfortunately makes a mistake. And Cook reigns supreme here in the sprint. And he takes pole. So it's going to be Cook from Pizan, from Joker, Yari, Ben, Liam, BJ, Newt Panda, the A-team, Dare. Rounds out the top 10. Then it's Bearder, Sprint, Ericsson, Swaggy, James, Agent, Rory, Thames, Must, and George. Rounding out the field for the sprint. Of course, 12 laps coming up in this sprint race. For Cook, it could be an opportunity to extend that championship lead by an extra point and make it 29 points clear heading into that feature race. So, of course, as we wait for 5 red lights here in Hungary, who will come out on top in this sprint race. Of course, for Pizan, he has an opportunity to at least bring that gap down to 27 points, as actually Rory's disconnected from the session, but we do have the 5 red lights here in the sprint. It's Cook and Pizan on pole, and we're underway here in Hungary for the sprint race, and it's a good start from Cook, but it looks like Pizan might fight back on this long run down into that first corner. Are we going to see a lunge from the kick Sauber? We do. To the inside goes Pizan, the 2 championship rivals, squabbling on this opening lap through the first corner, but Cook gets the exit. Pizan with a slide on the exit of turn 1. Now we head round the outside through turn 2 with a kick Sauber. It's the Aston Martin just going to have to back out of things as we head now through 3. Who's going to get the drive up the hill? It's going to be Cook, who carries on and keeps that race lead as we head through turn 5 and into the technical middle sector. I think someone just went off in the background. Didn't see exactly who it is. Looking at the tyres, Cook's on the hards, Pizan, Joker both on the mediums, so they need to make good use of them in this opening part of the race. And that's Yari. Yari's had an accident. Yari is round on the exit. Oh, sorry, on the entrance of turn 6, not the exit of turn 5. And unfortunately for the Mercedes driver, who had a very good qualifying here in their first race of the season, as George runs wide on the exit of turn 11, nearly into the back of Liam Bearder under braking. And he's now making his way to the inside line. George on the softs, really utilising this tyre to good effect as he now looks to the inside, with the outside for the final corner, and makes his way through. Now on Liam Bearder, a brilliant opening that there from the McLaren. But at the front of the field, it is Cook from Pizan, and then Newt Panda just getting past BJ Riley, but runs deep into the corner. The Alpine now able to get back to the outside line. Of course, this is identical scenario to what we saw between Cook and Pizan on the opening lap. The kick Sauber's on the outside line. This time it's the Alpine, and for Newt Panda, carries on in 5th place, holds on to the position ahead of both the Alpines of Riley and Liam. Now heading through the right-hander of turn 5. Cook's not been able to break DRS onto Pizan this time around. Half a second separate that top 2. Ben teetering on the edge of dropping DRS to Joker. He claws it back, then he drops without it, and then he claws it back again. As that was Liam really running wide behind teammate Riley. Oh, and that's Newt Panda even further wide through turn 11. completely going off the road as George picks up our first penalty of the evening, a 3-second time penalty. Which only 2 laps in is not a good sign for the latter stages of this race. Pusan now sets the fastest lap of this Grand Prix. Well, the sprint race, should I say. And now heading down into that first corner. Are we going to see a move from either of the Alpines? No, we are not. There's a yellow flag further back. That's for Jamers, who's gone around, I think. Yes, has picked up front wing damage on that left front end plate. And unfortunately went into the wall. But in a lucky sense as well, has been able to keep going within this package. Must is battling away here with Ericsson over 15th place. Ericsson's able to hold on to that position as George is able to go around the outside of Dare. What a move that could have been into turn 4. Now through 5. There's a bit of argy-bargy between them. And now through the right-hander we go. And through turn 5, George gets the move done. And now for Cook. He's still holding on well in that race lead, of course, to DRS Hones here in Hungary. Down the main straight and down between turns 1 and 2. But you need to be right onto the back of the car in front, heading down out of that final corner if you want to utilise that first DRS zone. And then it's very similar down into turn 2 as well, because it's such a short run, that one. Need to be really within striking distance as Newt Panda goes deep trying to overtake another car. This time it's Ben, and the Williams is able to capitalise and get the good old switcheroo, but Newt Panda looking back to the inside line. A little bit of contact between the pair and more contact between Panda and Ben. These two have come into quite some kerfuffles throughout the season so far, and Newt Panda looking to the inside into turn 4. Can he put it off? No, just has to back out of things, and that's going to allow Riley to really close back up to the back of the Ferrari, and the Prancing Horse just had to hold on to the brakes and make sure he didn't go into the side of the Williams. Liam all over teammate Riley. They make their way now as Newt Panda runs wide once again through turn 11. Liam could be shaping up for a move here on his teammate, and Cruciate at the front of the field. Cook is nearly gapping Pusan here. He's nearly dropped that DRS to the kick Sauber. Just a few tenths of a second he's not able to find so far. And here comes Liam to the inside of teammate Riley. Nicely done under braking into turn 1. Riley didn't put up too much of a fight, and he won't fight it once again. Heading down into turn 2. And that is Liam up into 6th place now for the Alpine. Man, of course, 5th in the standings. Actually, no, 6th in the standings, should I say. Got 4th and 5th just in front of him. And 1 point separates him and Ben in the driver's standings so far. So he needs to get past Ben and hope Newt Panda gets through to then promote himself up into that top 5 in the driver's standings. Sprint picks up our next 3-second time penalty. Like in sector 2, that's for Jamers, who has gone straight on at the chicane. Unfortunate there for the Williams driver, who has picked up more front wing damage now, and Liam has been able to get past now on Newt Panda, or has he? Newt Panda's fought back with the DRS on the inside, forced Liam off the road, and Riley does not get through. I was going to say Riley says thank you very much to that one, I'll get through, but isn't able to, and Newt Panda holds on to the position. This is invited 18 now into the fray, and he might now try swing it around the outside, but no, just backs out of things, and he's not able to get past there onto Riley. And Riley actually picks up a 3-second time penalty, and the A-team also cut a little bit too much at turn 4, I would think. So he certainly picked up a warning. There's a yellow flag in the background. That's for Sprint. who has, I think, just had a minor spin. Nothing too major. And for sprint, we'll now have to try and recover those positions lost. But a spin, that's going to really damage those tyres as we have reached that halfway stage here into the race at the Hungaroring. Crucially for Puzan, Cook has gapped him. He's dropped out of DRS. The flag in that first sector. Is that for Liam and Newt Panda once more? Even the A team, they're squabbling once again. It was for Liam and Newt Panda, I would believe, as they make their way down into turn 2. I think they've made more contact somehow. These two racing each other extremely aggressively. And look at the train they've formed. It's all the way down to Liam Bearder in 11th, with Spaggy just hanging on to the coattails too. Gary now picks up a 3-second time penalty, along with Agent as well. So for Liam, he's now got to try and hunt down Ben in front of him. That gap's 2.2 seconds. Joker's been able to stick with teammate Puzan. So we could see a swap between the two Kick Saubers at some stage. Yellow flag in the third sector. That's for Yari, who once again, has had a big moment there and off into the wall on the exit of turn 13, sorry. Wouldn't be surprised if this is our second retirement of the sprint race here this evening. Into pit lane. And we'll get off those immediate at the very least. And yes, a retirement from the race there from Yari. Not the way they would have liked their sprint to go. And of course for Yari, started quite highly up into the top 5. Which never went their way, unfortunately. Now for Joker. Still lining up potentially an opportunity on Puzan. Actually a little bit further back. Liam Bearder and Dare are going to go side by side now as they make their way through the left-hander of turn 13. Up into the final corner will go. Liam Bearder has been overtaken by George once before. And overtaken again. Is actually George been able to get past BJ Riley while everything was going on. Liam's not really brought that gap down to Ben in front of him. 4 laps to go now in this sprint race. Riley's going to be fighting back here against George. He's got his way through, or has he? George here on the exit of the corner will not have DRS, but can use his battery to look to the inside still. And now we'll try and hold this one through turn 2. Of course, the Alpine will have better tyres at this stage. 8 laps on those softs. They'll be screaming in agony. A big slide. A great save by George, who has been able to pull off a magnificent slide and somehow hang on to the car. That was a amazing save there by George to keep this thing facing in the right direction and not clattering into the side there of Riley. That could have been really ugly if he did, because that could have then collected the 18 just behind him and we could have seen a big old incident. As we now have 3 laps to go, Cook has been able to extend that gap now to 3 seconds between the 2 behind him. Aston Martin, your championship leader, is flying, and talking about extending that advantage, he might extend the championship lead advantage by 2 points instead of 1, because Joker is starting to apply that pressure to teammate Puzan. But he's not able to look for a move as the A-team a little bit further back is getting closer to George. He can't get past either. Not just yet anyways. But with 2 more opportunities down that main straight, what could happen? Actually, the A team has just been able to get past there onto George. Potential mistake coming out the way of the McLaren, whose tyres must really be starting to feel worse for wear. And he's now going to be coming under pressure here from Dare and might drop out of the top 10. Won't be in point scoring range for the sprint. Of course, top 8 score points in the sprint is 8 points for first. So on, so forth after 7 for second. Now DRS open here for Dare as he looks to the inside. Oh, he really went across the circuit there to make sure he was battling against the McLaren and made sure he was able to get the position. As actually Swaggy went to the inside there of Liam Bearder, and the Ferrari went straight off the road, and Bearder says, thank you very much, I'll carry on with my position. I'll keep 11th place. Swaggy do all that hard work again. I only have 1 more opportunity to get the move done down the main straight as we are on that penultimate tour here of the sprint. As Swaggy picks up a 3-second time penalty to boot now, so Liam will be able to hold on to that 11th place unless he picks up a 3-second time penalty too. Posan's been able to jump Joker at the front of the field. He's just been able to break away after that slight scare from the overtake attempt. But it was never in doubt for Posan to pick up that 2nd place. Agents now into 16th. And Swaggy now makes his way through, of course, through turn 12. He's going to be all over the back here of George. He's been overtaken by Liam Bearder. Are we going to see George make it to the end, or will those tyres puncture to make our way down that main straight? Swaggy not close enough. Oh, and I think we've just seen the puncture. I think George's tyre just went out there under braking. It has a rear right puncture. Oh, it's been a stellar drive from the McLaren on that soft compounder tyre. But as he hit the brakes, a bit like what we saw in 2005 at the Nürburgring with Kimi Räikkönen, where the tyre fails under braking and the car spins out of control. That one was the front left. This one was the diagonal opposite of the rear right. And unfortunately for George, a solid drive has ended in a retirement. That's a very solid performance at a circuit where tyre wear very, very big indeed. But coming across the line now is going to be Cook, the championship leader. Extends his championship lead here in the sprint, excuse me. As it's Posan who finishes in 2nd. And something must have happened to Joker. I think he's run out of field because Ben's finished on the podium in 3rd. 1 point extra now scored for Cook in the championship over Posan. That gap is now 29 points between Cook and Posan at the top of the table. And for Joker, he'll be kicking himself after running out of fuel in the final sector. Maybe that's why he backed off so aggressively behind teammate Posan. He needed to save some fuel for the end. And Ben have to pick up the pieces and a 3rd place from it as well. But for championship leader Cook, he takes the opening battle here in the Hungaroring. The first sprint victory of the season will go to the Aston Martin world champion and the championship leader, ahead of championship rival Posan, followed by Ben, Joker, Liam, Newt Panda, the A-team, and Riley rounding out the points scorers. And it's there Liam Bearder rounds up the top 10, by Ericsson, Swaggy, Muse, Sprint, Rory, Thames, Agent, George, and of course Yari and Jamers round out the field with George, Yari and Jamers all unfortunately retiring from the race. While we get ready for qualifying then, quickly take you to the circuit for this evening, a 4.381 kilometer circuit or 2.738 miles with 14 turns and 2 DRS zones, with of course a very historic title given to it of the Monaco without the walls, because of how narrow this circuit really can be, especially in that middle sector, and how difficult it can be to overtake as well. But drivers are just getting ready track side, going to, of course, circuit now, as Liam has disconnected from the session now alongside Raw, who also disconnected earlier on. Sorry, Rory. And see if we can get back in the session, hopefully. Carry on with qualifying. But 18 minutes of qualifying coming up now. Who is going to take that top spot for pole? Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. As we now get into qualifying, see who comes out on top now at this stage of the session. In the all-important qualifying, the one that does really matter. Panda is now heading through the left-hander of turn 2. Making his way down the, of course, first sector split and up into turn 4. Now through turn 6 and 7, the Ferrari driver trying his best here to pull something out of the bag. Of course, after a disappointing sprint, yes, he picked up some points with a 6th place finish. Be looking for more, as Yari sets the 16.6 on the medium compound of tyres. About a 10th off what they set on the mediums in that last session. But here we are then with Nuke Panda coming up to the line. This is on a set of the softs. What's it going to be? Of course, the benchmark is 16.6. Are we going to see Panda beat that across the line? We'll go with the DRS Open. It's a 16.1. Does beat that time. Dare slots into 3rd with all that going on as well. That was Muse going up into 4th. A yellow flag in the first sector, seeming to be for Dare, potentially just slowing down a bit too much. And for BJ Riley, he's now coming to the line on those medium compound tyres. 17.1 from him. The Bearder has just started a lap on the softs. Is Joker pushing on the Jokers in the pit lane. So we're down board now with Liam. He makes his way through the first sector. Let's actually bring up the tyres for this one. It seems like a lot of drivers being split once again. Now as we make our way through the middle sector with Liam. Through the middle sector split we go, 55.5. I'm expecting this to probably be around about that Dare and BJ Riley area. As Riley actually the A-team, went up into 4th fastest. Too bad there from the A-team on the 17.1, just behind Riley. Liam Beard now going to be making his way to the start-finish line. Across the line we go, 18.2 from the Red Bull driver, with Jamers heading up into 7th on a 17.8. Still waiting though really for those big hitters to really attack their lap. Saying that, Puzan has just started his first attempt here in qualifying. And in that first sector, I think it's 26.9. Nicely done through turn 4 as well, as we now make our way through 5. Swaggy promotes himself up into 2nd on the 16.5. 4 attempts off. Teammate New Panda. Now through 9, take as much inside curb as possible to help rotate the car. And as he heads through 10, flaps through there, small lift through 11. Doesn't have a slide this time on the soft compounder tyre. Ben goes up into 3rd on the 16.5, 400th shy of Swaggy. Just off that provisional front row for now. Puzan as he makes his way out of that into that final corner and out to the start finish straight we shall go. What is the benchmark going to be for the session overall? Across the line, a 15.7 for Puzan. It's the best he can do. What about the rest of the drivers making their way around, like your Joker, like your Cooks, or even Liam? Here comes Puzan's teammate Joker to the line. What's it going to be for the kick Sauber across the line? Can he just place his teammate? No, 3 attempts shy. And now Liam starts his first attempt, in this feature race quali. Up into that first sector, 27.3. About 3 attempts shy. Of Puzan in the first part of the lap. Liam now making his way through the middle sector. Of course, has to manage some traffic of Puzan and Joker. Cook will as well. He's pushing on to his stuff. Actually, no, he's going to be a little bit further clear as Cook, as he's just finished at the end of the first sector. So for Liam, as he now makes his way through the final corner of the Alpine, what's it going to be for him? Where is his lap time going to place him? Will it be enough to battle a Puzan or not? Across the line, it's 6th fast. It's a 16.5, just shy of both Ben and Swaggy, and got quite some margin to that top 3 as we now head on board to championship leader Cook. Took pole position in the sprint. How has he got a fare in feature race qualifying? He's had a very clear lap, no traffic ahead of him. Been very tidy in terms of clean air. And DRS now open up to the line. Are we going to see him beat Puzan? Yes, we are. A 15.5. A tenth shy of what he was able to do at the end of the sprint qualifying session. But still, a 2/10 buffer once again between himself and Puzan. Into some very, very strong positions heading into the second half of this session, with 9 minutes and 6 seconds left on the clock. Of course, more drivers come out onto the laps, like Yari, who's setting their first lap on the softs now of this session. We'll put the tyres away. Now everyone's going to be heading on to soft compounded tyres at this stage. So what we're going to be looking through this middle sector, currently on 16.6 on those mediums, and we've seen drivers gain about 4 to 5 tenths through the first two sectors alone on the soft compounded tyres. So I'm expecting potentially here a second row start, but only 3 tenths to the good through the middle parts of the lap here. But still, that is going to be enough for the third row of the grid. Well, unless they made a big error through the final part of the lap that has cost them dear, it looks like it's going to be 5th place at best. DRS open as we make our way to the line. It's 4th fastest. Must have made a mistake in that final sector. Half a second improvement. A 16.0 there from Yari. Can be very happy with that one. They make their way onto the second row. Of course, after a disappointing sprint race, having a race like this is certain, a qualifying like this to back it up afterwards is certainly the way they would want to bounce back. Her flag in sector 3. I think that is for one of the Red Bulls just making their way to pit lane. Sorry. We have got Riley starting an attempt. He makes his way now out of turn 1. 6 minutes and 40 left to go here in qualifying at the Hungaroring. Four attempts to the good in the first sector. Of course, as we know, Riley was on the mediums for that first lap. Swaggy keeps out of the way quite nicely. Not like what Riley did in that last qualifying session with Joker. Now we're heading through turns 8, 9, and it'll be now into turn 10. A 17.1 is currently what Riley has. How much? We're looking for an improvement in the first sector, but spins through 11 into the wall. And for Riley, took a bit too much curb through turn 11, and that completely killed the lap. Just over-rotated the car and into the wall. And for Riley, who was up by half a second in the first sector, was looking for more in the middle. Got on for a very tidy lap, if I say so myself, until that stage. Unfortunately, an opportunity goes a-begging for even a top 5 start. Plenty of time in that lap as here comes Rory to the line. What's it going to be for the McLaren? Across the line we go. It's 12th fastest, a 17.190. Just behind the A-team and Riley on that lap. Swaggy has now just started his next attempt, but has backed off after an invalidation. Unfortunately for the Ferrari, have to trundle around. Don't know if they'll have enough fuel to go again on the same set, so it would just be trundle round to the pit lane. Hope you have another set of tyres to go again. Dare now on a lap time. See what the Mercedes has to offer. Currently on a 16.7, 2 tenths off closest car, Liam in front of him. And up by a tenth of a second through the first sector. Currently sitting, of course, as I mentioned, 9th fastest on a 16.7. Just under a tenth shy from Liam at the moment. Would jump the Alpine. Sorry, 2 tenths shy, should I say. But at the moment will not jump the Alpine. Oh, and runs a little bit too much of the curb on the inside. And does pick up an invalidation. Unfortunate to see there for Dare, as we've now got Agent making his way through the middle sector now. and runs wide himself, heading out of turn 9, but it's able to keep the lap time valid. Are we going to be seeing an improvement through the middle sector? Yes, we are, by 0.8 of a second, but a big moment through turn 12 is going to cost him dear. Can't seem to keep the car exactly planted where he wants it. Now heading through the final corner now. Going to be for Agent as he makes his way to the line. A 19.1 currently across the line at an 18.4. Lost time in that final sector, but we did see those big moments as Swaggy did run out of fuel and will not have time to... Actually, no, didn't run out of fuel, but did invalidate the lap, and I just don't think we'll have the battery to go again on a proper push lap. We'll try it anyway. As Joker, so now onto a push lap. I think BJ Riley has just come out of the pits. No, BJ Riley is not out, coming out of the pits. He is on an out lap now, making his way through the final sector. But look at the amount of traffic Joker might have to navigate through that middle sector. Starting off with one of Mercedes down into turn 1. Might be a small distraction, runs wide from the apex. Going to cost him dearly when it comes to the exit. Now makes his way into turn 3. Slowly rotates the car through as you swing your way through 3, and now up into 4. Through the middle, first sector split, half a tenth to the good, so we'll stay third fastest for now. Making his way through the chicane. That's a nice getting out of the way from the second Mercedes car. Of course, Puzan and Cook are now both out on the circuit as well. Rory gets disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. Not sure exactly where that was, but unfortunately for Rory, it's a disqualification. Puts them to the bottom of the time. So for Joker, through the final sector we shall go. Has he taken enough of the fight to Cook and Puzan to put some pressure onto their shoulders, or has he just fallen short? We'll get a slight toe on the exit of the corner from the Haas driver in front across the line. He just misses out on provisional pole, but he does go onto the second row, so that does really put the pressure onto Puzan as Cook is now starting his final run of the session. But we do have drivers making their way to the line just behind him. BJ Riley is one of them, stays 10th fastest, and I think was shaping up to go again. Swaggy, of course, has come into pit lane, bends up by a 10th in the first sector. Agents retired, but was down ball with Ben. Switch back over to both Puzan and Joker in a few, Puzan and Cook in a few moments' time. And the Aston Martin is the one who will be done first. 2 tenths of the good now for Ben, so he'll promote himself up into the top 6 at the very least. But was there any errors in the final part of the lap that cost him dear? Williams driver now through the final sector. What's he going to be for Ben to the line? Where does his lap time put him across the line? He goes. It's 5th fastest. A big improvement in the final sector. Puzan is improving, but so is Cook by 2 tenths of a second. The Aston Martin, the championship leader, is looking to cement a very big lead heading into the end of this qualifying session. But for Puzan, he's still fighting, and he is clawing back time wherever he goes. So for Cook, this is to throw down the gauntlet. The statement lap here from Cook across the line. It's a 15.3, and for Puzan, as he makes his way through the middle sector, he's 2 tenths to the good. It'll be enough to displace Joker from that front row of the grid, but Puzan will need a heroic final sector if he wants to try and snatch pole away from his championship rival. Puzan to the line. Has he done enough to take it away from Cook? No, falls short by only a few hundredths of a second. Found a 10.5 in the final sector, but for Puzan does fall short. And for HBCooke, he takes 2 pole positions here this evening. He had to work a bit harder for that one than he did in the sprint. But oh boy, do they all count the same. And for the championship leader, once again over 1 lap, he takes pole position. That's his 4th feature race pole this season. He has been unstoppable over the course of one lap. A formidable force, that is HBCooke, your championship leader, once again takes pole. We head into the feature race here in Hungary. So your order is as follows. It is Cook from Puzan. Half a tenth separates the top two. Then it's Joker, Yari, Ben, Newt Panda, Riley, Sprint, Swaggy, and Liam rounds out the top 10. Disappointing result there for Liam to start in 10th, followed by Det, the A-Team, Jamers, Thames, Bearder, Noist, Agent, and then your 3 drivers who either didn't set laps or were disqualified was George, Ericsson, and Rory, who unfortunately qualified from the session in very end on his outlap. I'm not sure why, but did up that disqualification. Actually, it looks like it is raining. Yes, we have rain in the race, ladies and gentlemen. This adds a little bit more spice to the story, and adds a little bit more drama to the tale. We will love to see how this rain now throws these drivers into the mix. It's quite heavy as well. It looks like it's going to be full wets, as we can see from George's garage. And it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers now do make that switch from all the dry running they've just had, of course, over the course of the past sprint and the 2 qualifying sessions. Now, completely changed their driving style heading into the race. Now, for Cook and Puzan, they go to war once more over that championship crown, and just like that, right on cue, it's the front 2 in the championship on the front row for the second time this evening. We go underway here in Hungary, this time for the feature race, and it's a good start from Cook, who's able to draw clear of Puzan, who's actually dropped a position to teammate Joker, and under pressure from Yari behind, who nearly goes into the back of Joker, slides through the first corner, and that's actually allowed Newt Panda to capitalise. Puzan and Joker now run side by side into turn 2. Newt Panda up into 4th. It's going to be, of course, that is going to be, Ben up into 5th, and Newt Panda is going to try and hold on to this position. Yari slides out wide, drops to Sprint, and also can potentially drop to BJ Riley as Joker's now dropped behind Newt Panda. They run side by side, ending up into turn 4. Who's going to come out on top here? Joker off the road. Newt Panda able to hold on for now. Sprint's able to get past on Ben as well. He's on a lightning start from back in the mid-pack. And for Newt Panda, he's up into 3rd. Sprint's had a slight error. He's dropped down to 7th. Yari's been able to make his way back to the inside against Ben. So yellow flag in the second sector. That is for Jamers. Liam's down to 12th. He's battling with George a little bit further back. There's a safety car deployed. No, a virtual safety car, sorry. I think for Jamers, who unfortunately has gone around, picked up some front wing damage. Missing complete at least the left half of his front wing, potentially the full front wing. But for Cook, a dream getaway. He's 2 seconds clear of Puzan. Jamers has retired from the session. Newt Panda in 3rd. Joker in 4th. And Ben somehow was able to hold on to 5th place there. Look at the tyres. Inters for Cook. Wets for a majority of the field. It's a big 50-50 split, excuse me. Panda up 3 places off the start. Sprint up 1. He started down in 8th. Nearly was up in 5th place at one point. The A-Team using this as an opportunity to come into the pit lane. It'll be interesting to see what the A-Team does elect to go for. It'll be interesting to see as well how long do these intermediates or wet tyres last, and how long does the rain go on for? The A team actually puts on a fresh set of tyres. I think was going in to change front wing damage, but didn't actually get it changed. So unfortunately there for the A team, a bit of a wasted pit stop. We go back to green flag running, and Ben immediately under pressure from Yari, but is able to hold on to P5. A sprint is really trying to get by here as well onto the Mercedes. Reclaim that 6th place. Runs wide himself. It's Yari with a big wobble out of turn 4. That might give the Haas driver the opportunity to sneak down the inside into 5 and into turn 6. We got some contact. Big contact sending sprint nearly into a spin. That's Joker. Joker's gone round at turn 6. And the man 3rd place in the standings has dropped out of the points. Joker's horrid start to the season. His horrid opening half of the campaign once again proving more and more difficult for the Kick Sauber, as after what was a terrific second half of the season in Season 6, at the start of Season 7, it seems that early form has unfortunately come back to bite again, as George is on the inside now of Riley and clatters into the side of the Alpine. And he's up into 8th place from what was a 17th place start, sorry. George has had an electrifying start in this one. He's up 10 places, an 18th place start, so even more of a moment. It's actually, talk about moments, I think that is Yari who's gone for a slide, and it is Yari has gone for a slide. It's 12 places now gained for George. What an opening. 3 laps here in the rain. Just carved his way through the field. And at the front of the back as well, Puzan has been able to bring that gap down to Cook to 1 second. What is the better tyre, the intermediate or the wet? The extreme wet compounder tyre. Of course, that blue-walled one. And the green-walled tyre is the intermediate. And at this current stage, it potentially could be that extreme wet, delivering more traction as it can move more water. Go through those bigger parts of standing water. Go through those puddles. A lot better than the intermediate. But of course, as this race goes on, that dry line will start to form. You can see a slight one here. Those inters certainly become the ones you want to be on. Cook's extended that gap now to 1.2 over Puzan and has set the fastest lap in this race. Those inters could be the right call, as George has now set the fastest lap of the race. He is electrifyingly quick. And he's now all over the back of Sprint. He is flying at the moment, is the McLaren. Those extreme wet tyres treating him very, very nicely indeed. As he now looks to the outside here, a Sprint heading up the hill into turn 4. Is he going to be able to pull this one off? There's some slight contact between the two. The McLaren gets forced out wide as he still keeps his nose in to the inside at turn 5. Gives a little bit of payback. Taps the inside of the Haas once more. And he's able to get through into turn 6 later on the brakes. And he's now up into 5th place. 2.9 is now that gap between him and Ben. We'll see if Cook sets another fastest lap and compare the difference. Because, of course, even in that one, George was fighting, but this track is going to get better and better. Each lap that ticks by, that even while you're squabbling, you could still find an improvement. 1.3 now is now that gap between Cook and Puzan. It seems that Puzan seems to lose a lot of time in this final sector, around about a tenth or two. And now across the line. Cook not setting a new fastest lap. What about George? Is he going to set one this time around? Yes, he is. A 34.1. He is so fast at the moment. Yellow flag further back. I think that's for Agent, who has unfortunately gone around on those intermediates. Oh, and onto the grass. It's going to be a big slide. It's a Max Verstappen-esque crash. Unfortunately for Agents, some front wing damage to boot as well. It's straight into the wall like Verstappen did on the formation lap in 2020. Not the formation lap, sorry. The way to the grid, the installation lap. Joker's been able to get his way past Riley. Rory's been able to get his way past Liam Bearder as well. Agents had another spin somewhere else around the road as Bearder now down to 13th. Joker back up into 10th. George has already brought that gap to him and Ben down to 1.4 seconds. Agent is our second retirement of the race. So look at that for a move from Liam Bearder. The up and under against Rory. They make contact. They're still side by side through turn 11. Oh, Liam with a little bit of a wobble. That might give Rory the upper hand heading into turn 12. Who's going to come out on top here? Rory just slides wide out of the move. And it is going to be Liam Bearder's position. But that was set up beautifully from the Red Bull driver who did the up and under. George now on a 33.6. Found half a second on that lap compared to his previous best. And he's all over the back now of both Ben and Newt Panda. Just dancing his way through the field. Look at the rear end just slide out. His car and driver synchronised as one at the moment. And nothing doing there for George against Ben thus far. Once Ben gets into the back of Newt Panda, once again, just how difficult it is to overtake around here, especially when you're in a tray like this. And George isn't able to find his way through, and neither is Ben. But look at this for an exit for George. Through turn 8 we'll go, but he gets blocked in by Swag. He just has to back out of things. And now as we head through 9, once again just gets boxed in, and there's a bit of contact between the Ferrari and the Williams. More contact. Newt Panda sent straight off the road. There's more, and Newt Panda sent round. George says thank you very much, I'll pick up the position. But Newt Panda kept his nose to the inside, got sent round. And Ben and Newt Panda, they like to get into scruffles. They like to get into these battles. As actually, Yari has been spun by Newt Panda in similar fashion to what we just saw for the Ferrari. And for Panda, him and Ben have come together quite a few times this season on the road. And that is another one, as Cook has now extended that gap to 2.1 between himself and Puzan in second. As Joker sets the fastest lap of 33.2 on those intermediate tyres. Of course, we'll see those green wall tyres slowly come further and further into play. George, he's now got Ben just in front of him. It's intermediate from wet, intermediate from wet, intermediate from wet, separating the top 6. Alternating in those tyre compounds. As Liam Bearder and Riley now go side by side through turn 3. These guys have dropped 10 seconds behind Joker now, so they've been really squabbling over those past few laps. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Liam Bearder. Will affect him ever so slightly. Now hit the brakes into 6. And then try the up and under once more. Here we are with Liam Bearder. Is this going to be the exact same move we saw him pull off on Rory? No. Riley just has the exit, but he's 2 seconds slower at the moment as Cook now sets the fastest lap. 2 seconds slower than Joker, who is just in front of him. And I think the wet tyres are starting to give way, especially with the fact that George has dropped time to Ben. I think the dry line forming, the track rubbering in, means that those intermediates are slowly becoming the one who wants to push on through. And if anything, you want to change tyre and get onto that green walled one. As Rory is coming to the pit lane, he's going for the inters as Joker Hits the inside of Dare there, trying to be a bit too ambitious to the inside. And unfortunately, that's dropped Joker down a few more places. But George now, I say he's dropped off from Ben. He's been able to claw it back through the first and middle sector. George. All it seems in this final sector. A bit like what we saw with Puzan behind Cook. But those wets just aren't good enough for that final part of the lap. Cook sets a new fastest out once again, now into the 33 zeros. Showing how much these tyres, this track's getting quicker, and these tyres are embedding into the circuit. There's George late on the brakes to the inside of Ben. How did he not go into the side of that Williams car? I do not know. He sent that from a completely different postcode. He licked the stamp and sent it. And look at that drifting around the outside of the Williams. Tokyo's drift style. And if we were in Japan at a drift competition, not only would they bow down to that move, but they would also give that 10 out of 10 points for the slide, because that was such great driving from George. An ambitious send, followed in by a swing around the outside with beautiful car control. George, take a bow. That is certainly a contender for overtake of the season with how that was. That was unbelievably good. Look back as well, once again against Dare, Nuke Panda, Yari and Joker. This quartet starting to squabble over 7th place, but still not into those 1 minute 32s just yet. Brought that gap up now to Puzantno to 5.3, and there's some contact between Nuke Panda and Dare. George, excuse me, even with all that battling, has got into the 32s. So on those wets, is still the fastest man on the circuit. And now we're going to see Dare go for the move, but are we going to see Joker potentially attack onto the Mercedes right in front of him? He's looking for it, but no move being made. Yellow flag in the second sector. That looks like it's for Thames who's gone off. Yes, it is Thames who's gone off at turn 11. Unfortunate there for the Red Bull. But has picked up big front wing damage as well to boot. The 18 pass Riley. Was the 18 making that pit stop to try and change that front wing? The game didn't change his front wing. Having to recover through the field as Dare picks up a 3-second time penalty. Retirement from the race there from Thames. Which, unfortunately for him, still no points scored. So far this season. Really tricky season for Thames thus far. Back next week, I'm sure, though. As Cook now finally dives into the 132s. And George on this previous lap has found around about 2 seconds onto Puzan in front of him. So Puzan really starting to struggle on those extreme wets, whereas George still driving really quickly, as keeping up with the pace of the likes of race leader Cook. Thames has left the session, sorry. I thought that was him retiring from the race. Woke up now all over the back of Nuke Panda. Liam now onto a set of the intermediates. Are we going to see Puzan make that switch as well? Because George has already found a second onto the back of the kick Sauber. Joker looking to the inside now through turn 5. New Panda holds his line. Going to try and keep this position, but the drive, the exit is just in the Kick-Sauber's favour. As we head through 6, New Panda just has to give way and give that position to Joker. Now remove himself from that battle. It's not worth keeping a nose up the inside. And George once again has brought that gap down to 2.4 seconds now. Puzan really struggling. 32.7 for Cook. I want to see Puzan's lap. Across the line he goes. It's a 34.2 for George. A 32.6. He is just shy of 2 seconds a lap faster at the moment. And is still setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Driver in the papaya machine. Pulling Ben along with him as well. We're on lap 12 now of 35. About halfway stage, around about lap 17. About halfway through that lap. As we head in the middle sector, I think Yari has had a slight moment. No, it's not Yari. Actually, yeah, it is Yari. Sorry, that was Dare who went by. And Yari had a slide out of turn 3 and seems to have looped it. That's allowed Joker and Dare both through. The Kick-Sauber and Yari's team had a big slide once again out of turn 5. George, that gap now is 1.8 seconds. And has picked up the pace over the course of this previous lap. Maybe knowing that is certainly a moment where he needs to step up. And potentially bring that gap down to Cook in front, but it doesn't seem so far that it is possible. Now heading up in turn 4. This race has slowly calmed down in terms of action. The closest driver on the circuit to the car in front is Ben. Onto George, who's still slowly reeling in the Kick-Sauber of Puzan. The 1.1 is now that gap between George and Puzan. Cook, the championship leader, is absolutely dominating this race. 10.6 seconds clear. And Puzan just have no reply on those wets. The RE picks up a 3-second time penalty. Puzan, it will be another 8-point swing in the title, taking that gap to 37 points. Coming out of this evening, and it's just going from bad to worse, as it could be a 10-point swing now. Take it to 39, no, 39. Yellow flag in the final sector. That's for Yari once more, who's had an error. Looks like an off at the penultimate corner. Has picked up some front wing damage as well, and a slide into pit lane. I could have blocked the pit box there for everybody trying to come into the pits if they wanted to on this lap, but here we are then. The battle for second. If Puzan drops off here, as Yari has unfortunately retired, not the race that Yari would have wanted, especially in the wet. That's two very good qualifyings, but the race it did just go their way. They are still learning no ABS. I did see that in the Discord, that they were switching off ABS for one of the first times and are just slowly starting to learn it. And for George, he tapped the back there of Puzan, but he needs to be careful too. The fact that if he makes a move and it goes wrong, Ben's there to capitalise. The yellow flag in sector 3, that's still for Yari's car, exiting the pit lane. Make our way, of course, through the penultimate corner. McLaren drifting the car out, and he's actually going to come into pit lane. So we have a pit stop from George before Puzan. Of course, those wets will not go a full race distance, even if the rain did stay at the same velocity, did stay at the same sort of temperament. As Riley picks up a 3-second time penalty, and onto the inters goes George. How quick will this McLaren driver be? Of course, the intermediates now, there is a big shift. The wets make your car feel heavy. They feel awkward. They just feel really, really horrible to drive. You feel like you've got no grip at all. It feels like you're driving on balloons, because even though they're heavy, it just feels like the tyres are really ballooned up and that you've got no feel from the car underneath you. Nuke Panda's able to get his way past on the A-Team. I say that goes deep into the corner, and the A-Team tries to fight this one back on the inside. A slide from the Ferrari as the Aston Martin will look to go the long way around the outside. There's some contact between the pair. A-Team off the road, and here comes Nuke Panda to still hold this one around the outside. And the A-Team backs out of it. Thinks better of it. It's a yellow flag in the middle sector. Is that for Joker? I think it is. It is for Joker, who has gone around. As Cook is now into pit lane as well. So Cook is in. And surely Puzant will follow. There's a safety car. Disaster for George, who tried the undercut. And there's an added twist to this tale as well, because Cook's huge lead of up to 14 seconds will now be sliced to nothing. And for George, I mean, a good way the field will be bunched up. And he will be able to at least come out in, I think, 5th place. But it means that undercut has not worked at all. And he'll come up behind Sprint, who himself has had a fantastic race. His Riley's retired. Somehow has gone off at turn 3. And into the wall there. Potentially just had a moment under traction. Under the safety car. That is quite peculiar. But for Cook, his lead is now slashed to nothing. And for the championship leader, he'll need to pull that gap out all over again. But this time, Puzant has the opportunity on the intermediates to stick with the Aston Martin. It'll be interesting to see how these two now play out the remainder of this race. Of course, when the safety car comes in, it will be around about that halfway mark. And of course, as I mentioned, for Cook, be 38 points coming out of tonight, that championship lead. No, sorry, 37 or 39, excuse me, if George is able to fight his way through on Sprint and Ben. Get by on to, of course, Puzant in second. So when will the safety car, of course, come into pit lane? We're going to have to wait for Rory, as your current order is as follows. It's Cook from Puzan, Ben, Sprint, George, Joker, Dare, Liam, Panda, Swaggy. Then the A-Team, Houston, Bearder, and Rory round out your field. Rory's actually just put 3 seconds under the safety car. We just saw that happen as well. Drifted wide at turn 4 as he's trying to catch back up to the safety car queue. We'll get another lap to do so. Over half a lap back on these guys. Good, the safety car might potentially just go without him caught up. Ian Bearder will definitely catch up. Sure though about Rory. So as the cars make their way to that final sector split between the middle and the final sector, are we going to see the safety car in this lap, and are we going to leave Rory and even Liam Bearder behind? Yes, we are. Liam might still be able to catch up because, of course, Cook will back these guys all the way up, much as he can. The Red Bull will appear in the distance, and he will catch up, but Rory has been left well and truly behind. Unfortunate for the McLaren to revitalise these races with this one, but when does Cook decide to go? The reigning champion, the current championship leader, with half a race to go, with his championship rival from season past and now right on his coattails. He's put the foot down now and he's left Puzan in the dust, in his spray, and it's a 3/10 advantage. He has making it way down into turn 1. Puzan will still try and get closer and closer. When he look for a lunge, you bet he will. It could be his only opportunity in this race to go for a lunge. There's contact. George around the outside of Sprint as well, and Puzan isn't able to get the opportunity when he needed to the most. George on the inside of Sprint. Ben now around the outside of Puzan. Can he pull off the move, which George pulled off on him only a few laps ago to get by? No, he cannot, but Puzan holds on to that second place. George up to 4th, Ben into 3rd, and Cook holds on to that race lead as that's Joker round at turn 3 at the bottom of the hill. Somehow didn't pick up front wing damage after hitting the wall, but for George, he's got past the first car, the Haas driver of Sprint. We know he's got race-winning pace in that McLaren. He is flying at the moment. Panda picks up a 3-second time penalty. To the inside, now he goes. Oh, that was risky into 9. Just about no contact being made between the Williams and the McLaren. But George knows this is his opportunity. He just can't overdrive the car. Of course, after a safety car period, you may lose your rhythm, you may lose your feet. And if you're someone like Cook, or even like George, who's got into the back of Ben there, you could potentially see yourself just lose all composure and all pace. Try to overdrive, knowing your opportunities ahead of you. George is surely lining up another one of those sends into turn 1 on Ben. He sure is, and he makes it through the corner, but goes deep. Ben gets the good old switcheroo out of turn 1, but the McLaren driver, this time on the inside, will just streak clear, and he's up now into 3rd place. Next on his list is Puzan, who's not been dropped by Cook. And he's got 6 14 laps. Try and get past the top 2. So for George, he makes his way through turn 9. He's got half a second, but he's got about a second between himself and Cook. Half a second now between himself and Puzan. What a way to introduce yourself to the season if you can pick it up with a race victory from the back of the grid. Did really well in the sprint as well, did George. All the way up until those final few moments. Of course, it was harder for him to make his way through then because it was in the dry conditions. The pace disparity wasn't as big. But here we are then. George surely going for the dive. He's going for the dive here on champion, the man second in the standings of Puzan. And he makes his way through. It's second place now. And if Cook's able to hold on to this race victory, a 10-point swing, an 11-point overall this evening swing in the championship standings. And at the moment, we're facing at 39 points heading out of this evening between the top 2 in the drivers' standings. And Cook having a healthy lead heading into the second part of the season. Look at that, George closing in onto Cook, who of course would have despised seeing that big old lead of 13 seconds be sliced in half, and it's given George a prime opportunity to now cling on to the back of the Aston Martin and potentially make that old fabled move into that first corner. That move he tried on the last lap and was able to get it to work on Puzan. He's now going to look to the outside line and Cook goes deep. A mistake from the championship leader has unfortunately allowed Cook to go through. Too late under braking, and George says thank you very much. Cook drops to second, and that for Puzan is even better than when it was a 1-2 because it means it's only 3 points gained over the course of this race for the Aston Martin, and it means that Puzan will be, of course, 32 points behind. Still a big margin, but it is better in terms of mathematics and numbers for Puzan. Good now, of course, with Cook not having driven in dirty air before in these conditions. Lead to Puzan catching up and making his way through, bringing that championship lead back down to 26 points. Of course, started this evening, 28 points that gap between the top 2. Of course, sprint gets that P1. Not sprint. In the sprint, sorry. Cook got that P1. Puzan got second. He was able to pick up an extra point. Extend that gap to 29 points. And here this evening, it could be a 3-point swing in the feature either way. And overall, a net 2 points gained for Puzan if he is able to get by. George has completely gapped Cook. It's 1.9 seconds. This McLaren driver, the man in the papaya machine, has absolutely just taken a stranglehold on this field. Jenson Button 2006-esque Hungarian Grand Prix drive in, again, changeable conditions. Not so much like these, but of course having to use 2 separate wet weather compounds and it really being one of attrition, drivers crashing out, drivers making mistakes from, of course, big outfits like your Jokers, like, of course, your Liams and Newt Panda. Your big hitters making mistakes. And George coming from a low position on the grid to pulling off potential race victories. Liam Beard has gone into the wall. He's unfortunately picked up some front wing damage on the exit of 3. That's promoted Rory up into 13th. Joker trying to get past on Swaggy. As his yellow flag in the middle sector. That's for Liam Bearder, who's crashed. It's brought out another safety car. Bearder crashing at turn 4 has brought out another safety car, another twist to this tail, and another opportunity now for Cook to get back at George. So for George, he had a big lead. Now that, well, I would say a big lead, but compared to Cook's earlier, it was a rather small lead as we actually see Dare, Swaggy, and also the A-team into the pit lane for a fresh set of tyres. But he's had a good sizable margin, now cut down into nothing. Championship leader Cook just behind him. Trundle round. And for Cook, he's staring at a potential opportunity to go 3 in a row. That Ben already. Driver's just moving out to the wetter part of the circuit, potentially just down those tyres. Because of course, that dry line now starts to overheat. Just weaving as well, making sure George has enough of an opportunity. Able to defend here for Cook and then be able to push on. Of course, for Cook, it surely will be try to get the move done down that main straight. Once the safety car comes in, don't do it then, it could be game over. And now the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. George will become Burt Mylander when it decides to go. Out of the penultimate corner, shaping like he wants to potentially go for it, and he does go for it now, and he's got a spectacular jump over Cook. The Aston Martin driver was just not expecting that at all as they make their way now down that main straight. It's a second by the time we reach that first corner, and for George, He has completely gapped the championship leader and made him look silly. He has completely blown away the field. I will now just try and extend that advantage more and more. It's all about this battle for second now between Cook and Puzan. Who's going to come out on top here? George already 1.5 seconds ahead. What a beautiful lap of a safety car restart that was. Have a 2-second advantage by the time we reach the end of lap 26. There are 9 laps to go when we cross the line. Can anyone make their way past a car in front? Quickly having a look at the penalties. It's 3 seconds for everyone with a penalty, so that makes things a lot easier for us. Away out of the final corner, George, a 29.6 now, the fastest lap for the McLaren. Brakes through. Turn 2 we go, and into 3. Going to be Puzan versus Cook. But it's all important second place. Some all important points that pivotal come the end of the season. Raggy now picks up a 3-second time penalty. Our 7th car. Up that 5. That track limit penalty as Rory has been able to get past Swaggy. Round the outside he goes through turn 7. That's beautiful stuff from the McLaren. Now up into 12th place. George set a purple middle sector there. He's now 4.5 seconds clear. He's nearly 3 seconds a lap faster. A 29.0 there from George. There is all over the back of Mute. Going to go for the move here. Is he going to be able to get it done on the Haas driver? Of course, he's got the A-team just behind him as well. We look to the inside. There is also the A-team trying to go for the move. He's got it past on Muse as Dare runs wide. That's going to allow the Aston Martin to sneak on the exit through. And the Mercedes, before he just gained a place, sits exactly where he once was. Before he gained a place but lost one at the same time, so it all negates out. And now at the front of the field, George is 5.8 seconds clear. Puzan, of course, still trying to apply that pressure. So a flag in the sector. Might be for Mubist. Gone around. No, it's not. Sure why there's a yellow flag in the middle part of the lap. I think we've got a slight glitch there. But George, he's just having fun now. He's just slinging that car around. Has picked up a 3-second time penalty, but it won't really matter. Of course, as we know. Puzan getting closer to Cook, but he's just not fast at the right places. He's fast at the wrong places. He's able to catch up into the parts where he can't make the overtake. Pressure onto Cook. Before him make a mistake. Seen Cook crack under pressure. He make another, this time in defence against his championship rival of Puzan. As is Puzan close enough for a move, he's going to go for it. There's contact between the two championship rivals, and this is a pivotal battle in the terms of the championship proceedings. Who will get more momentum heading into the second half of the campaign? And there's more contact between the two, but Puzan swings it around the outside. Has he still got the run heading into turn 3? No, he has not. 6 laps to go. He's got 5 more attempts at turn 1. And that time, it just was not good enough. His Joker now picks up another 3-second time penalty. Now for Puzan, he's got to redo it all again. He's got to hunt down to the back of the Aston Martin once more. Try to push on and get his way through, but Cook with a poor penultimate corner. That really starting to apply that pressure. 5 laps to go when we cross the line now. What about being tucked up into the slipstream? Are we going to go for a move to the inside? Yes, we are! Late to the brakes from Puzan. Is it enough? There's going to be more contact between the two, but this time, I think he's going to drive. No, a big slide for Puzan. It nearly takes him into the wall and off into the grass. But unfortunately, for Cook, in his sake, Puzan is still right on his tail. He just was not able to get by that time around. Too eager on the throttle. And the Kick Sauber driver is oh so close to getting through. The two at the top of the standings having a titanic scrap for second place. A bit of a wobble there out of turn 5 for Puzan. Now, here we go then. 5 to go. Oh, 4 to go, sorry. And is Puzan close enough this time around? No, Cook does defend the inside line. It could give him a poor run through the corner. Now, another wobble for Puzan. These opportunities are starting to dwindle. Are the Kick Saubers. He can get another nice run at the final corner. Could be in business. That's the one thing holding him back, is getting that good run. Getting that opportunity to go to the inside. Puzan is looking like a 3rd place finish and more championship points lost. to Cook, who will have a net 4-point gain of up to 32 points out of this evening. And they might have another foe to worry about for the remainder of the season in George. But out of the final corner we go. 3.5 attempts is that gap. We have seen Puzan send it to the inside from positions like this one. Is he going to do the same here again? Yes, he is, but this one's a bit more on the tentative side. And he's just, once again, on the inside, not able to get the drive, get the traction out the corner. And Cook holds on to that second place once more. So, once again for Puzan. This time, 2 more opportunities at turn 1. If he can't get it done by then, I think it is going to be all hope lost. It's going to be all over by the time we reach lap 35, turn 3, if he is not ahead. Because Cook just seems to have the measure of him out of that middle sector and up until the penultimate corner. And by that point, Puzan is just not able to go for a lunge. George at the front of the field starts his penultimate tour of the circuit. Puzan, he's looking for it dearly, and this might be an opportunity. He's a 10th closer this time around, so he could be alongside. Heading into the braking zone, he's getting closer and closer. Cook will defend the inside. Puzan goes late on the brakes once more. Is he going to make contact with the Aston Martin? No, he is not. And is he finally clear of the Aston Martin? No, a slide once again derails his momentum, and Cook surges through once more, but Puzan will try it late on the brakes. They're still side by side. There's contact between the pair, and Puzan sits behind him third. This must be agonising and frustrating the man second place in the standings, because his championship rival is right there for the taking. He can sniff those points gained in the championship picture, but he just can't get a grasp on them. He grabs and they just keep slipping out of his hand at every opportunity. One last attempt will be on the cards for Puzan. Can he finally get it done? In this battle for second. It means more than just the podium. It means shaping the rest of the season. Puzan, who of course crashed last time out in Saudi Arabia, looking to bounce back in style and get the momentum over Cook, but has a slide out the penultimate corner, and that might have just cost him everything. That might have just cost him the momentum. It might have cost him the opportunity to fight back against Cook. Heading down into turn 1. It certainly has, and Cook looks to just take that momentum, take that advantage once more. And Puzan with the slide as well. It's not going to work in his favour. A sprint, and Ben now goes side by side. This is over 4th place, but Ben will get it thanks to the penalties. Around the outside will go the Haas driver, but he just can't seem to find an open door. But at the front of the field, what a way to introduce yourself to the OWLS Racing League. George started down in 18th at the start of this race. He started down in 18th for the start of the sprint. It was up until the final lap where a tyre blowout unfortunately brought that sprint to an end in a slip and a slide and a spin all the way round down at turn 1. But here, in the rain, he slipped and slid. He blew the competition away. And for George, in the McLaren, it's been sheer domination. What a performance. What a debut. He wins here in Hungary and shows Cook and Puzan who could be here to run the roost. He could be the one to be the head of the camp and be the head of the table come the end of the season. It's Cook who will take an all-important second place in the championship battle, with Puzan finishing off the podium in third, and Ben holds on to fourth place. But take a bow. George, what a performance on debut here in the OWLS Racing League, to come from 18th in the rain to first, and gap in the total of 10 laps of 14.1 seconds. Domination from the McLaren. That is what you call a proper domination victory. We have a new name at the top, and it's a man that has certainly introduced himself well. It's George, who took that race victory from Cook in second. Then it was Puzan, Ben, Liam, the A-Team, Sprint, Newt Panda, Dare, and Joker rounds up the top 10, but a big battle between second and third ensued for a championship position. But Cook reigns supreme and comes out of this evening 4 points better off. Then it's Swaggy, Rory, Muse. Then your retirements after Muse is Liam, Bearder, Ericsson, Riley, Yari, Thames, Agent, and Jamers, who retired on the opening lap. But, ladies and gentlemen, your driver of the day as well will have to go to George, because what a way to perform on your debut. What a way to just... It's blown me away. It's blown everyone away. It's left me speechless to see a driver come in on debut and dominate the competition like that. He didn't participate in qualifying because he knew the pace he had compared to the rest, and he just was able to fly away and just slice through the field like a hot knife through butter. So well done to George on driver of the day, and well done overall on what was a fantastic performance from the Alpine. No, not the Alpine, the McLaren driver. But before we head off quickly, take you through your calendar. So, of course, we've had our first sprint of the season here tonight at the Hungaroring. And next week, we will take a trip over to another street race, the third street circuit of the season of Baku. Very entertaining indeed. Before we head to Silverstone, Yas Marina, Qatar, and Shanghai. Round off the season with another sprint race. Where, of course, it'll be all won or lost. And, of course, as well, for George, he now has the second half of the season to try claw back that deficit to Puzan and Cook just in, well, which will be in front of him. But what a debut that was there for George. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be all from us here at the OWLS Racing League. So make sure you join us next week as we head to the streets of Baku. We head to Azerbaijan for round 6 of the season. The second half of the championship will get underway. Should be in for a titanic scrap between top 2 once more. And could George come back, reign supreme, and dominate the field once again? But, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be all from us here. So make sure you tune in next week at 8 PM UK time, 9 PM European time, for what should be another amazing race here in the OWLS Racing League. The championship has been stretched further and further out by Cook. It may have been 4 points, but they could be 4 crucial points come the end of the season. We'll not know. Thank you all for tuning in. We shall see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you. Bye-bye.